out of the way.
13.
Or
14. Did I assign 14?
You told us to finish the rest of
Oh.
sheet 1 and then do the first 3 on sheet 2.
Oh, it did, didn't I? Okay. Okay, well, that's okay. I read it wrong as well, clearly because of what I had up on the screen, but it's not going to hurt us to take a look at this. All right, so let's do this part by part. So we're going to do this one first. 12 is the same thing as 2 times 6, right? And then 6 breaks down to 2 times 3. So that means 2 times 2 times 3 is 12. And then x, 1, 2, 3 y's. Agree? And then let's take a look at this one. 27 is 3 times 9. And 9 is 3 times 3. And then we have the x's. And a single y. So when we take a look at it, we have...
We can take it a 3, an x, and a y each side.
A 3 and an x and a y. Is that it? I guess so. So if you take a 3xy out, what do I have left? Well, I have 2 times 2, which is 4. Y times y, which is y squared. So I have a 2y squared.
And then you have minus 9x squared.
Minus 9x squared.
Is that the end, or can you
Done.
do more with it? Because there's...
Done. This is not the difference of 2 squares, because 2...
Perfect. That 2 should be a 4.
Should be a 4. This is a 4?
Yeah.
That makes a difference.
Because then it's a perfect.
Now, then hopefully you could recognize this is a difference of 2 squares. I probably wouldn't give you one like this on the test. But you'd get 2y plus 3x and 2y minus 3x. But that's not one that you would see on a quiz. Hey, when do you guys want your first quiz? Never. Okay, other than never. Sometime in June. After we graduate. All right. Was there any others that you wanted me to talk about? I know, I'm sorry. I must have said something wrong. Their loss, your gain. But I'll record it so they can watch it later. Hopefully. All right. You ready for a real life math application? All right, we're going to talk about something that at some point in your life you get to get off your family's plan and get your own. Okay? Now, there's all kinds of things out there that say, hey, health insurance is a scam. Okay. Big business shouldn't be any part of my health plan. Okay. I follow all the arguments on that, and I understand all the arguments on that. And I think that they're all valid things to do, but unfortunately, sitting around and complaining that it shouldn't be this way doesn't mean it isn't that way. Okay? So, insurance companies are big business. They make hundreds of millions of dollars every year off of people putting money into their insurance. What is the purpose of insurance? Right. They're taking the gamble that nothing will happen to you. You're taking the gamble that something will. That's really the long and short of health insurance. And then you have these people that are called actuarial scientists, okay, which are people that know way more about statistics than anybody else in the world. An actuarial scientist, what they basically do is they crunch data and numbers to find a way that they can charge you to show the break even and where the company will make profit. The company wants to make profit. So if, let's say, the break even point on a person is to charge that person $2,000 a year, then they're going to charge you $3,000 a year. They want to make the profit. It is what it is. I'm not saying it's good, bad, or indifferent. It is what it is. It's just what the current thing is. But health insurance, let's face it. If something were to unfortunately happen to you or a family member, you hopefully have something to not bankrupt you, not force you into having to sell assets to cover healthcare costs. Now, here's a few things that people don't know about medical insurance. Let's say somebody has to go to the hospital because they broke their leg, and they have to have a really expensive surgery to make their leg go back together and go through all the rehab, and now they're going to start getting bills. Okay? This is the only positive about health insurance. So let's say that person wound up coming up with $250,000 that they owe because of their surgery. Now, if you have insurance, that's the plus. But let's say you don't have insurance. You can set up a payment plan with a healthcare provider that is a 0% interest payment plan. Okay? It's illegal for health organizations to charge you interest on what you owe. So that's the silver lining of the whole thing. So if you were to go in and say, oh my gosh, I have all these bills, and you walk in to the payment person in the hospital or facility you're at, you can literally say, dude, I can pay $100 a month. And they're going to be happy about that. They're not going to send you to collections. They're not going to ruin your credit. You have a debt against you, certainly, but as long as you have set up some sort of payment plan, they're going to be fine. Now, let's face it, if you pay $100 a month, that's $1,200 a year, and you have $250,000 to do it, are you ever going to be able to pay it all off in your lifetime? Probably not. But they look at it as, we think that getting some is better than none. But there's different types of health insurance out there. Almost all health insurance will have some sort of deductible you have to meet. Okay? Meaning you have to pay the first certain amount, and then once you reach that amount within a calendar year, then you pretty much get your insurance for free. Now, there's all different types of levels of this. So let's say you have an insurance program that you have to pay $1,200 per year. Let's do $1,200 per month to have insurance for you and your family. Okay, and this could be a realistic thing. We're talking about $24,000 a year that you're paying to have insurance. But here's the side note. So you're paying $1,200 a month. So you're dropping $24,000 a year of your money. Okay? But the benefit of you paying this much money means that every time you go to the doctor or any appointment you might have, you're just going to pay $25. No matter what it is. Whether it's I'm going in to I have a sinus infection, to unfortunately I need to have heart surgery, so anywhere in between. But $24,000 a year is a lot of money to pay. Okay? Agree?
Mm-hmm.
Most people starting out in life, and most people who live life, really don't have the budget as a nation as a whole. I'm talking about everybody in the United States. I mean, I realize there are certain portions of society that $24,000 a year is nothing because their net worth is worth so much more. But for most people, figure the average salary in the United States for all jobs is right around $51,000 a year. So if you have a $24,000 payment, you're making basically $27,000 a year to live. Okay? Insurance is tapping you dry. Agree? We have options. We have actuarial scientists who have discovered, hey, here's another thing that we can do. And this actually came out, this type of insurance came out during George W. Bush's administration. He said, let's make people accountable for their health care. Okay, before that, people had health care and someone would be like, oh, my fingernail looks funny. I'm going to go to the doctor. 3 days later, you know what? I get this weird hair that's growing on my leg. I'm going to go to the doctor. You know what? I had the hiccups last week. I'm going to the doctor. Okay, so the doctor's offices were like, we're getting all these people coming in for stuff that there's no reason. Okay, we've all at some point have known somebody who dealt with COVID. Okay, that was bad. I mean, it's still a horrible thing to get. Perhaps some of you have had it. Perhaps you haven't. Perhaps you only know people who have had it. I've gotten it twice, and I'm fully vaccinated. You're like, oh, so the vaccine didn't work. Well, perhaps the vaccine allowed the COVID that I caught to be a much milder dose of it. How can I prove it? I can't. Okay, but I know an awful lot of people who have been vaccinated who have caught COVID, and I know an awful lot of people who haven't been vaccinated who caught COVID, and it wrecked them. Okay, unfortunately, my mom, a little over a year and a half ago, was hospitalized with COVID, and that was pretty much what set the rest of her life to be crap. Unfortunately, she passed away this past March. Okay, COVID really knocked her entire immune system out of whack. It really subjected her to some horrible care. I kept telling my parents, guys, you know, Dad's always like, hey, no, this is the government trying to control us. I'm like, Dad, no, this is a real disease. It's going to hurt you. You guys aren't healthy. Just because you exercised once in 1974 doesn't mean you're in good shape. Okay? My dad is 350 pounds. My mom's lungs were so bad before COVID that she could barely walk from me to the doorway without stopping 3 times to catch her breath. And she wasn't a smoker. Okay? It was bad. COVID cost people a lot of money. Yes, the federal government stepped in and was able to subsidize. Now everyone's saying, oh, look how bad society is. Interest rates have gone up. Yeah, you remember when perhaps your families all got this? They were sending us these stimulus checks, right? That was kind of cool. Now we're in the phase of paying back the federal government. The federal government, what they basically do is they raise the interest rates for mortgages on homes and other things. And then when the federal government collects the interest, that's a profit that the federal government's making, and it's illegal for the federal government to make a profit. So what the federal government actually does is they take the actual cash that they made in profit and they destroy the cash. Okay? And when they destroy the cash, that means you have a lesser amount of cash that's going through the system, which actually in turn will turn it into a better situation for everybody. But it kind of, we're in the sucky phase of it right now. Okay? But things will get better. As long as we don't have another world pandemic that comes and wipes us all out again, things will indeed get better. But unfortunately, people think about today only, and today is it. I'm not thinking about tomorrow or next week or 10 years from now. Okay? But the Bush administration had come up with something called a health savings account. Okay? A health savings account is this. I'm going to open, as long as my deductible is $5,000 that I have to pay first, or $10,000 per family. Now, I believe this has changed, but don't quote me on it. I believe it's actually changed to $6,000 or $12,000, but I can't recall if this is the actual data.
And is that per injury or per calendar year?
Per calendar year. So basically what this means is I'm going to pay a certain amount each month to say I have insurance. On top of me having my insurance, I still have to pay let's stick with the purple, $5,000 towards my health expenses before my insurance kicks in. Okay, follow me on this?
Mhm.
But here's the thing. Remember we talked about this health plan? We all agree that's a ridiculous amount of money. I hope. Okay? So if I have this type of deductible, I'm going to pay a smaller amount per year. I'm actually going to pay about $3,000 per year to have this insurance. Okay? Now, follow my madness. $3,000 a year is a lesser amount than $24,000 a year. Agree?
Yes.
$3,000 plus $5,000 is $8,000. $8,000 is less than $24,000 a year.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So, because I have a $5,000 deductible, a lot of people don't have $5,000 liquid cash. Okay? Now again, what did I say about hospitals? You can make a payment plan with any medical provider, and they are not allowed to charge you interest. So we've got to keep that in the back of our mind. So even if you had this $5,000 a year deductible, they're not going to refuse you health care because you have not been able to pay it all up in front. What you can do is you, again, set up a payment plan with them. But this health savings account, you can put $3,650 per individual or $7,300 per family. And this is your money. You are investing your own money into this health savings account. Here is the kicker. Okay? So, some people might look at $7,300 saying, I can't save $7,300 a year. You really can't. For the most part, unless you are in the worst part of life, which does happen, for the most part, most people could set up something to save this money. Now, where things become very different with this is here's things that you have to be aware of. Let's talk about federal taxes. Let's say you are going to make $100,000 per year. Just ballpark. Okay, what this basically means, and one of our Friday talks will go over this. We'll actually have a few Friday talks about this. We have a adjustable tax rate, meaning from $1 up to $15,000, you pay about 10% interest or 10% in taxes on. And then after that, you pay another amount in taxes, a percent in taxes. And then after that, you pay a little bit after taxes. So what that basically means is if I saved this with my family and I was making $100,000 a year, I'm going to subtract the $7,300 from $100,000. And just to make it easy, this is meaning I'm only going to be taxed on roughly $93,000. I'm not going to be taxed on $100,000. Okay? It's tax protected. Okay? So, do you want to pay tax on $100,000 or do you want to pay tax on $93,000? Which basically means you've paid the federal government $7,300 less than your taxable income that they are going to make money on taxes on you. Okay? So, federal government's not making quite as much money because you are doing this. Again, this was designed by the federal government as a thing to do. Okay, so what does that mean? So let's say I take that $7,300. So let's say I have a pretty good year. I don't even have to go to the doctor. No one in the family went to the doctor. Knocking on wood. Let's say it's all good. So then the following year, my $7,300, after I put my next $7,300 in, is now sitting at $14,600 that I've saved towards medical expenses.
It can
Okay.
only go towards medical expenses.
For a point in time, yes. So This will grow as long as, I mean, the majority of your life is going to be, for most people, will be healthy. Yes, I understand there are certain diseases out there. Unfortunately, people who have diabetes had been subjected to some horrible fees that they started charging for insulin. So you're penalizing a person that has a debilitating disease that they need to have a certain drug called insulin in order to survive. So it went from basically manageable amount of money to you got to be kidding. If I don't take this insulin as this diabetic, I'm going to die. Okay? So they have some checks and balances that need to be caught up and take place. Fortunately, it has taken place a little bit, hasn't brought it back quite down to what it should have been, but you've done that. So this money that is sitting in a savings accounts earn interest. My health savings account earns 3.5% interest every year. Okay, not really a good interest rate. I'm not going to be able to retire off of what I put in my health savings account because the interest rate is so low. But in fact, that interest rate is pretty good compared to what it had been. I mean, regular savings accounts in banks up until recently were like, oh yeah, you can earn 0.7% interest. 0.7% interest means it would take over 100 years for your money to double. That's really bad investing. 3.5%, if you wanted to do the math behind it, would take you about 21 years for your money to double. Again, it's not the best, but it is something. Now here's the kick. So I'm lowering my taxes on my federal return because I put the $7,300 in. I've made interest on my health savings account. I don't pay tax on the interest I earn in the health savings account. Okay, so now I've shown you an account right now that is double protected from taxes. Okay, now a question that came up was, I can only spend this on medical expenses. Well, when I get to the age of 65 years old, whatever I put in my health savings account can go to buy anything. Okay? My wife and I have had a health savings account now for 14 years. And we have about $78,000 sitting in our health savings account, earning 3.5% interest. I'm telling you a personal story. That's where it really is. Now I'm 52 years old, so in 13 years, I'm going to continue to put money in to that health savings account. And my wife doesn't know this yet, but I have a really cool looking Corvette that I would like to own. Want to know the kicker now? So now, once I get to 65 years old, Stirrup wants to go buy that Corvette. Okay, I'm just being facetious, but I'm being halfway serious too. I get 65 years old, I want to blow it all on anything. Anything other than healthcare. I don't pay tax on what I buy. It's triple protected from taxes. But the problem is, what did I say that most people do? They think about today only. Tomorrow, we're not worried about. I'm the person that says, I'm looking to the future. Now, I understand, there's the argument. Dude, Stirrup, what if you die today? Then I'm gone. Okay? Yeah, I have a life insurance policy. So my wife and kids would get some money. Okay? But imagine having something that is tax protected. There's a lot of other things that are tax protected. You can put your money into something called a tax shelter annuity, which is singleton tax protected, meaning you can write it off against your income. So you pay less in taxes to the federal government each year. The kicker on that, once you start drawing money out of it, which at age 75 you're required to take a certain percent out of your accounts and pay, you would then have to pay an income tax on whatever you draw out. It's not triple protected. Okay, it's only single front end protected. Then people say, well, there's the Roth IRA where I pay the taxes up today and then don't pay tax on what I earn later. Okay, so you put $5,000 into a Roth IRA, you pay the tax on that $5,000 to the federal government, but whatever interest that money makes, you don't pay tax on the end. So they both have front and back end taxes that are unrealized. The health savings account, and again, the health savings account, they have a maximum that you can put in that's tax sheltered. Okay, so, and it keeps going up. That actually, that $3,650 was for this year. The year before it was $3,500, so it went up $150 per individual, or $300 per family.
But is that just accounting for inflation, or is it?
They're basically looking at that, yeah. But they're also realizing healthcare costs are continuing to go up, so they have to give you a way to do it. Now, once you turn age 55, they allow you to increase what the maximum family is, and they do it as a catch-up thing. Now, honestly, what part of that money that my wife and I have saved, we're looking at, okay, if we have to use it for healthcare costs now or in the future, that's fine. But what we'll probably use it for is if we need assisted living care. I mean, I hate to think that I'm going to go live in a small little apartment complex with a whole bunch of other people that are old that are pissed off at the world, because I ain't pissed off at the world. I don't like thinking I would do that, but I do know that I am not going to hope to live with my daughters and let them take care of me. I don't want to do that. I know that when my mom was so bad off, I used some of my influences from the medical class I teach, and I reached out to them saying, hey, this is what's going on with my mom in Arizona. What can I do? They put me in line with people, so I was able to get my mom long-term care at home. But I had to kind of bully myself into stuff. And that's what it is. But a health savings account, and we'll talk more and more about insurance on some more Fridays, but one, when you want to try and take care of yourself and those around you, your family, looking at doing something that won't bankrupt you for healthcare. And I get you. I get the arguments. Why are people profiting off of our healthcare? I get it. And then you get the argument, oh, if you went to Canada, I can assure you Canada has their problems in their healthcare as well. But it's an easy thing to sit there and point a finger. Say, in Canada, they're going to get this. If I move to Germany, I'm going to get this. If I move to Europe, I'm going to get this. I mean, there are countries out there that you're going to get free healthcare. But you also lose 50% of your income is taxed. 50% of your income is a tax that goes directly into, yeah. So it's being paid for someplace, but it's real easy to say, oh, if we did this, it would be free. You know, we have good friends of ours that are from Europe. And we've had conversations with them. It's like, is the healthcare really that good? Oh, it's great healthcare. Well, how much do you pay in taxes? 50% tax bracket. Wait a minute. 50% of what you make goes to taxes? Yeah. Oh, we get free healthcare. No. You're paying for healthcare. It's called taxes that you're using. Here in the United States, you have choices. So our school district offers 3 health plans for teachers. One of the health plans is $26,000 per year. It really is. I mean, it's $26,483 or something like that per year per family. Guys, I'm making $100,000 a year. I don't want 1/4 of my money going to pay that. Okay? We have another one that's not quite as bad. It's about $17,000 a year. Okay, but that still stinks. And then we have the plan that I'm on. That cost me, it would cost me, if I had my whole family on mine, and the fortunate thing is my wife is a professor at the University of Colorado, teaches chemistry for engineers. So she has my daughters on hers. But if I had my wife and kids on the medical for the high deductible plan here, it would cost me $14,000. But it being that it's just me as the individual, it cost me, so myself in this district cost me this much per year. That's $600. Okay, yeah, your employer will pick up usually a portion of the healthcare cost as an employee. They don't pick up your family to pay that same rate. That's why it's so high.
And so is that 26,000 number a family cost or just for you?
Family cost.
So how much would it be individually?
Oh, I'd have to go back and research it. It probably would be about $4,000 or $5,000. But in order to have this plan, you have like a $500 deductible. In order to have this plan, I think it's $1,500 deductible. In order to have this plan, it's a $5,000 deductible. The thing is, $1,700 plus that is $1,850. This plus this is $19,000. But will I really accrue? I mean, it's possible, but I'm banking on healthy years, not unhealthy. I think I have more healthy years than unhealthy, so that's why I'm taking the gamble, and that's what insurance is. It's just a gamble, okay? But when you come to time to you are seeking out employment where you have options, you know, what option makes the best sense for you? I don't know, and I can't answer that. But if you ever, in the next, I'd say within the next 5 years, the majority of you will have some sort of job that you will come across that you need to pay for, choose an insurance plan. Well, I will tell you all that I'm retiring in 8. Come see me. I'm happy to sit down and look at your plans. I'm actually the specialist in this school for the healthcare plans, not because I am advocating for teachers. I just understand how they work. And I've had a lot of teachers tell me, there's no way that I could come up with a $5,000 deductible, so I'm going to go ahead and pay this. And I'm looking at them going, you're paying $3,000 more, and you don't get to keep that money. Yeah, you're going to put this, you're not seeing the money, but at least 3,000 of it isn't, it's going to roll over. And that's the thing that people don't understand. There's some call it a flexible savings account. You get a save in it, and that's fine. But whatever you don't spend throughout the year, you'll lose. It goes back to the federal government. Health savings account, you keep it. It compounds on top of itself. It continues to build. So health savings account, is it best for you? It scares the hell out of people. But just realize this. You kind of look at you as an individual. Yeah, traumatic things do happen to people. It's part of life. I'm hopeful it doesn't happen to any of you. But in the reality, you're gonna, as you progress out of high school in the next few months, some of you are a year and a few months. What I have found when I go back to my high school reunions, well, things I can tell you about my high school reunions. The people I didn't like in high school, I still don't like. The people I liked in high school, I still like. And then there's an awful lot of going through horrible health things, or have unfortunately passed away. I went to my, gosh, what year are we in? We're in 23?
Yep.
Holy criminy. I graduated from high school 34 years ago. Come May. Oh my gosh. I'm getting old. I don't feel old. I still take it as a compliment when somebody says, quit acting like a child. Quit acting like a child. Thanks for noticing. So, but this by no means makes you a pro on health savings accounts. I just wanted to kind of give you a little insight to some of this. And we're going to talk about each of our Fridays, we'll be progressing through different types of real life things. We will come back and visit insurances because we have auto insurances to talk about as well. How homeowners insurance. There's a lot of things we'll talk about. But I hope this doesn't scare you away from this class. But I will assure you that staying with me for the 18 weeks that we have, or 17 weeks left, I guess, you're probably going to hear 17 different topics that 5 or 6 years from now, you might be like, I'm glad I heard that, because being aware of situations is something. Hey friends, I'm sorry to spoil this for y'all. I know I'm going to get emails and phone calls from the parents, but just so you know, this class won't ever have homework on Fridays. I'm sorry about that. I know most of you are going to go outside and kick a puppy when you know, because you know that information now. You cry yourself to sleep.